Okay, it's the top of the hour here in the UK, so we will get started on our session. Welcome to this instalment of our What's New and What's Next webinar. It's a very exciting one for us. We've got a couple of features that we want to talk to you about, so we're going to be mainly focusing on the What's New. These features have been regularly requested by lots of our customers. So we're really excited to be able to bring them to you. I'm Dermot from the Customer Success team, and with me today is Matt Kelly, the Product Manager for Meetoo. As always, we're going to be using Meetoo throughout the session, so I just want to make sure that everybody gets onto the app okay. I mentioned in a warning a couple of minutes ago that the app has been updated as part of this new release of Meetoo, and therefore your native apps will need to be updated. So if you download Meetoo from the iOS or Android App Store, or go to the web app at web.meetoo.com and then enter the meeting ID, which for this session is 174699819. And when you enter that meeting ID, you will get prompted to actually update your app anyway. So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to do that now, so we can get as many people participating as possible. We're going to be showing you the dashboard side of the new features, but we really want you to be able to experience the participant side as well, so that's why that's so important. Okay, we've got a short but very exciting agenda for you today. First of all, we'll look at what's new in this release. Now, the main highlight, as you will have seen from the invitations, is our much anticipated Meetoo surveys, which is a beta. Now, when I say beta, please don't panic. The feature is fully released and supported, but Matt's going to touch upon the beta bit a little bit later. As always, we're going to be doing a demo of this feature during the session, and we've also got a couple of smaller but still very useful feature enhancements to tell you about on the session. And then for what's next, rather than the usual medium and long-term future roadmap session that we run, leading on from what I've just said, Matt's going to be focusing a little bit about what's next for surveys, and so he'll be doing that shortly as well. And then, as always, we'll have a little bit of time at the end for some Q&A, so please do get your questions in for us on the Meetoo Q&A board. So to kick things off, as always, we've got a poll for you to respond to. So, how often do you use surveys or a self-paced polling solution in any sessions that you run with an audience? So whether that's a lecture, a class, a meeting, a training session, or a conference or event. So do you never use them? Do you sometimes use them? Do you use them most of the time? Or do you always use one, before, during, or after whatever type of session that it is that you run with an audience? Okay, I can see some votes coming in here. What I can see is we've got quite a lot of people on our webinar today, and the reason we want to ask this poll is to see how many of you are accessing Meetoo as well, because I really want you to be able to see what these new features look like on the app side. But it doesn't look like we're going to get too many more in here, so I'm just going to close this poll now, and we'll have a little look at the results. Okay, so the majority of people use it sometimes, a few always, and about a third most of the time. Well, it's really good to see that nobody's put never there, Matt. I think we're quite pleased to see that, and hopefully, whatever solution you're using at the moment is working for you. But we look forward to hopefully seeing you use Meetoo a little bit. Okay, so what's new first of all? Now we've got a few main feature additions since our last What's New and What's Next webinar. And I've already teed you up for the surveys bit, but as I hinted, there are a few more. So the first one we want to look at is the single login page, which is login.meetoo.com. Now this was recently added, and I'm sure some of you are actually already using this page to log in, but a brief explanation for those that haven't. You can now use this login page as an alternative to that unique URL that you previously used to access your Meetoo control dashboard. You can use it as well. It's not one or the other, but it was a lot of feedback from people who said that they often like to log into Meetoo on a computer that they haven't necessarily bookmarked that unique URL on. So this is our answer to those requests. We've also got badge notifications. And again, something we added a little while ago. And if you hadn't noticed it before, you should hopefully have noticed it today, as that little red dot should have been on the Q&A tab in your app when you actually joined this session, because we'd put a host message in and there was a few other messages in there as well. We've also significantly improved our sign-up and onboarding journey for new customers to actually allow them to begin to use Meetoo a lot quicker than previously. But I won't dwell on that one too much, because I think most of the people on here today actually have Meetoo accounts. And then the big one, surveys. So just before I actually jump into the demo of surveys, because that's always the best way to get used to things in Meetoo, I just want to let Matt talk to you a little bit around the background to this feature.
Thank you, Dermot. So I think it's pretty safe to say that some of the most common requests that we've had around Meetoo so far include things like, wanting the ability to allow multiple questions to be asked at the same time, the ability for self-paced polling, so allowing people to answer questions in their own time, rather than obviously the live poll we've got now, which is pushed at the discretion of the dashboard user. Wanting to perhaps get a bit of feedback from participants in advance of a session, or maybe after a session has finished. Of course, we've sometimes a limited workaround for this is leaving a live poll open in advance of the meeting for a long period of time. Obviously, the case here, when you do have that live poll open, you can't access the message board. So that's one of the things people want, is the ability to answer questions at the same time as perhaps going to the message board as well. We've also had feedback from our users that they love using Meetoo, but in particularly the live polling aspect. But there's situations where they have to use another product in addition to Meetoo alongside it. So hopefully one of the things we're addressing here is to have it sort of all in one. So the feature we're calling surveys, that's our answer to that. It's built very much around the current types of live poll that we've got at the moment, and will evolve and continue as that does. So I think without further ado, over to you, Dermot, again for the demo.
Thanks very much, Matt. So just before I do launch straight into this demo, it's worth pointing out where you can actually find Meetoo's new survey feature. So there's obviously two places. One is in the control dashboard, and we've positioned the surveys feature along with the other primary features of Meetoo there on the left-hand side of the dashboard in that feature menu. Then, of course, there's the app. And I can't imagine that any of you will have resisted the urge to actually have a look at that module already, but we've positioned the survey icon just next to the Q&A board module there as well. So on our screen grab here, we're showing the iOS app, but for those of you using Android or the web, the menu's up on the top banner of the app. Okay, well, enough of slides now. I think we should just jump into our control dashboard now. And I think the best way, as always, to do Meetoo is to have a practical demo. So you'll see I've got my dashboard live here. And actually what I'm going to do is click straight into surveys. Okay, now you can see that I've got one here called Here's One I Made Earlier, and I want you to just ignore that one for a second. I'll come back onto that very shortly. But to create a new survey, you'll see that we've made the UI design very similar to the live polling element, so it should be familiar to all of you that have used Meetoo previously. So I click the plus button to create a new one, and then I'm going to give my survey a name. Okay, once I'm happy with that, I click Add, and you'll see now that my survey's been created, and it's actually expanded down here for me. And the next thing that it's inviting me to do is actually create a new question. So I click the plus there, and you'll start to recognize that this is exactly the same interface as you get with the live polling. So I've got a text document open here just with some questions, just to make things a little bit quicker today. Okay, so I've got my question header in and my options, and then I can click Add. Okay, and we've created our first question. Now I'm just going to rattle through and create a couple of questions for you here, because I think it's useful just to show it a few times. And I'll get my options into this one. Now you can see by my title that this is a question where I want to give multiple selections. So again, just as with live polling, I can just increase the number of selections that I'm going to give my participants. And I click add again. And then the third type of question is our open text question. And we just put in our title there as well. Okay, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense in terms of actually creating that survey from scratch. Really easy, and you'll see that it's actually ready to go because I've got my start button here. But as with all good Blue Peter demonstrations, we're going to use the one that we made earlier because I've actually got some more relevant questions and a few more questions in there. So what I want to do is actually start that survey. And now what you'll actually see in your apps, and I'm just going to drag a web app across here for you to be able to see, is if you click on your survey tab now, we've actually got this survey has been published. So previously where it would have told you that there's no surveys active, you've now got this survey that's available. And you can start to just respond to these questions as you would normal polls. So I'm going to go with the crowd when they answered that a little bit earlier. And you'll see as soon as I answer a question, there's a notification up here to tell me how many of the available questions I've actually responded to. So we'll just go through here and just respond to these questions. And hopefully you're all able to do this at the same time because it'd be really useful for us to get all of this content from you. Okay, and you can actually just do your normal typing in here as you would on a normal open text question, and then we just click the send button to submit there. Okay, so I've answered a few of these questions, and actually now what I want to do is show you what's happening in the dashboard at the same time. So if you guys want to continue to answer those questions, and I'll just drag that away for the moment. Now you'll see that this is the survey that I've got open, and if I actually expand it, what you can see is this live update of the number of respondents. So this is how many people obviously have started responding to my survey. And not only that, what we can actually do is click into a question and we get a snapshot of the responses that have been there so far. And I can go to the next question and I can see all those results. So really useful thing to be able to see and do in the background to make sure that people are responding, because obviously you might want to actually give them a nudge if they haven't been doing so. Okay, so this is obviously slightly fake because I'm actually going to show you how to stop your survey straight away, but don't worry, you'll get an opportunity to continue in a moment. So I'm going to stop that survey and I'll just drag my app back in again so you can see. Obviously it then defaults back to our no surveys active screen. Okay, now once you've collected that data, quite clearly you're going to want to actually export it. So what I'm going to do is just export our Meetoo report here. And most of you will be familiar with this, so I'm not going to spend too long on our report. But just to show you, we get our usual attendance list here. Now you may see that we've renamed some of the tabs down here from the previous names, but that's just to simplify things based on some feedback and also make it consistent with the survey options. So I'll click on the survey summary. You'll see this first section is some overview information of the actual survey, and then as I scroll down, you'll see that these results are coming in exactly the same way as your live polling results will. Okay, so that's the survey summary element. And then we'll look at the survey results, which again, very similar to the live polling, the raw data where you actually get the rows for each individual and the columns for your questions. The significant bit here is a new row we've put in, which is the survey number. Now you'll see that we put a 1 or a 2 in here depending on which survey. Now these number 1 is obviously the one that I've got you to respond to, and then the survey number 2 that I didn't open is the one that I made as part of the demo there. So really very familiar for people that have used Meetoo before and are used to those reports. Okay, so now that we've had a look at the report, I just want to go back into our surveys element here and actually show you some of the other functionality that you can actually do. You can actually duplicate a survey. So if I just open this one that I made for you, if I click duplicate, you'll see that another version of it is popped down the bottom there, and I can just click on here and edit the name slightly if I wanted to. Could give it a completely new name, click the little tick, and then that's done. What I could also do is go into any of these questions and edit them just in the same way that you would do with the live polling. So again, hopefully very familiar for all of you. Okay, now I obviously closed that server that you were all responding to, but just to show you, you do actually have the ability.
Sorry, just to jump in here, there's been, I think it was Adam and Bob have just said on the message thing that when you started the survey the first time, they didn't actually see it in their app. So as that was the case, I know Dermot, you're just about to reopen this now. Yeah. It'd be good if Adam and Bob could get back to us just to see if they see it this time when Dermot's opened it.
Okay, good point. Thanks very much. So I've just reopened that survey, and we can see again that in my app here, I'm obviously on the web app. I've actually got the survey back available again, and we can start responding to those questions again. Just to let you know, there are 2 questions at the end of this survey that I'd like you to wait until the end of our webinar to actually respond to, because there are our evaluation questions. Okay, I think that's probably the wrap up of the actual demo section here. I think we've shown most of the features, and so it'd be good to get back to some of our slides. But please keep sending your questions in. We really want all of that feedback, and Matt and I will start looking at those in a moment. Now, I'd just like to hand back to Matt to actually start talking a little bit about why we've called this feature beta and what that means.
Yeah, so thanks, Dermot. So as Dermot said at the start of this there, we've put a beta tag on this survey feature, so just want to address what that means and, well, also perhaps what it doesn't mean. So I think the thing to make clear that, yeah, it's a fully working feature. It's not something that we're going to be removing or taking away from anybody during this process, so don't worry about that. It contains, everything it needs to be a usable and successful addition to Meetoo, hopefully. However, one of the things that we do want to say by, attaching this beta tag to it is that we haven't finished with it yet. So, we want to continue working on it. We want to, carry on making improvements to it. And once we've done that, then we will, remove the beta tag from it. So, we demonstrated this to a few people over the course of the last month or so, and rather than wait longer before rolling it out to everybody, we wanted people to be able to start using it straight away. And part of the process of finishing this feature is to get feedback from as many sources as we can with regards to how it works. Now, I can already see there's some questions coming in on the message board around this. So, some of the ideas that you might have is, how does it look from a UI perspective on the dashboard, with regards to the creation of a survey or how you manage the surveys. Maybe you've got an opinion on how it appears or looks in the app itself. It could be, a new little addition, something that's not there, just something that you feel could add something extra to the survey. Or, as Dermot touched upon the report earlier, could potentially be something to do with the report. So, with those things said and with those things in mind, that brings us on to the next part around what's next. So what's next for surveys? Now, we obviously don't want to leave surveys in a beta state indefinitely. We're going to be, working our hardest to make decisions on a lot of these other things based on feedback, so we can take that beta tag off. Now, depending on what that feedback is, it could impact what we do to the feature going forwards and how long before we bring it out of this beta phase. But just to give you a bit of an idea, we've already got a few things that we're considering, a few things that we know we've not released this time that we want to bring into it. So just to cover off a couple of those things, there's perhaps the idea of a sort of short survey description. So the ability for a dashboard user to write a bit of descriptive text about the survey which then ultimately gets reflected in the app itself, so it gives the user a bit more context about what the survey is, what they're filling out. One of the big things that we're looking at also is the ability to import and export surveys. So, we know at the moment the way it's set up, each meeting you create or each session you create, you have to create a new survey, create your new questions. But we're looking into ways where you can, once you've created a survey, you can export that survey into another session, or perhaps even export it and share it with somebody else on a completely different account, so they can import it into their session as well. And we're also just looking at a bit around the general UI, so particularly around the dashboard. So as Demet said, we followed a lot from how our polling UI works. Now, there's a couple of areas where we could perhaps improve that, I think. And we're also looking at perhaps bringing in some kind of bulk settings, so you can select multiple surveys to clear and delete all at once, things like that. So I've given a few examples there of the sort of things we're already looking at. And as I said, one of the key parts to this is getting feedback from as many people. So we've got our usual sort of feedback channels on the website and our normal sort of hello@meetoo.com. But I think one of the things we're trying to do with this is channel all the communication through one source. So we've got an email account set up for feedback@meetoo.com. So we're going to try and push this a little bit, but we're trying to get all kind of like product and obviously now particularly survey feedback coming through there. So hopefully some of that feedback is already now coming through the app, which leads us on to the Q&A. So
absolutely, yeah, we've had some good questions coming in there, Matt. So thanks for positioning that bit for everybody. I think it's really useful for everybody to know what stage the feature's at and to know how much they can actually help shape it as it goes forward. So I think you've addressed a couple of things about people not seeing the app, and we'll give Adam and Bob a shout after this session to see how they got on. Phil Kirby has asked a really good question here, Matt. So can I schedule a survey so I can release a satisfaction survey at the end of a training session?
So no, currently you can't. That's not something that we've put in there. But again, great feedback. I think that's exactly the sort of thing that we're looking for. Is these ideas from people that they perhaps expect or want. That's not something that's kind of there at the moment, but it's certainly a useful addition. And I think we'll look into that amongst some of the other things.
And Adam's got one here that's this particular subject is a hot topic in the office when we're having our product discussions. But could we make surveys anonymous even if the meeting requires profiles to log in? If not, that is a top request. I think it is.
Yeah, and I think that's a good. We have had many discussions about that, and we've had a few discussions recently around anonymous and identified meetings, and I think that's something that we will be looking to address at some point in the future, how our meetings currently work with the anonymous and the identified. There's lots of different permutations and combinations of when people perhaps want to be identified and not, and what the user thinks their details are being shared and what the dashboard user can see. So I think there's a lot to think about there, but that's certainly one we'll be taking into consideration there from Adam.
Sure. I just want to respond to Kim's message here. Are all text responses limited to 150 characters? So the text poll feature, so whether that's a live poll or a poll within the surveys, if it's an open text, yes, that's limited to 150 characters. If you require more, what people often do is actually utilise the Q&A or discussion board, however you like to describe it, to actually get people to enter longer strings of characters.
And just on that as well, I mean, if you feel strongly that it should be more than that, and we'd like to know kind of a little bit around the reasons why and the cases that could be used, and it's potentially something we could look at. So,
yeah. Our old friend Rob Curtis has asked, can more than one survey be published at a time, i.e. for various breakout sessions?
So no, currently at the moment we can only publish one survey at a time. So to enable a second survey, you have to stop the one before it. Now, in some of our sort of lead up demonstrations we've done before leading this, that has come up a couple of times with people we've spoken to. So that's certainly on our minds as a potential improvement as well for the future.
And just for those people thinking about, that being a real life scenario for them, you could always have multiple Meetoo meetings. So I know that's probably some way that Rob would run it at the moment, because you might actually want to use the Q&A board and even some live polling in those breakout sessions as well. So hopefully that helps.
And just a quick note on that as well. I mean, Rob's asked the question, and I've said there that we'll be thinking about that sort of thing. What would be really good is if other people out there that are not Rob as well that can give a little +1 or send some feedback through about that as well, if it's something that everybody's feeling strongly about.
Yeah, I think an easy way to do that would be by way of likes. So if you can like Rob's question there on the Q&A board, that will help give us an idea of how many people want to view it. It's great to see Fiona likes the duplicate option. That's great. Joe Probert, another old friend of ours, has asked, can you share the survey results in projector view?
So not at the moment, no. One of the ideas and the thoughts around the survey was that it's kind of all about data capture, rather than necessarily relaying that back to the audience. But it is something that we've potentially considered, perhaps the ability of displaying back the survey results. Now, I'm not sure necessarily that there's a need to, if you've got a 10-question survey, a need to push back all the results to all those 10 questions. Maybe it's just one question or one result that's of interest, and you might just want to perhaps select one and push the results of those back. So that's a possibility. It's not something we've put a great deal of thought into at the moment, but it's something that we have considered.
Sure. And it's also great for Rob to give us the nudge on the responses in real time. That's something we're really happy about. It's certainly in when we've been playing with it here, that's something that's been really useful for us. Adam's got a point here. So it would be very useful for all users on an institutional account to access all the surveys associated with an admin account and copy them to their meeting or copy them between the meetings.
Yeah, so that I think, touching upon the whole sharing aspect, like I said, we've got some considerations at the moment around an import and export. I think what Adam's discussing there probably takes that a step further as well. But yeah, absolutely, very good comment there.
And then he's just popped in with the polls question as well, so it's all quite similar there as well. Jess, it'd be really useful to be able to moderate the word cloud. Yeah, absolutely. We'll park that one just for the moment, just because we want to focus this on the surveys and this update. But Jess, certainly, please send us an email, and we can certainly have a chat about that. But that is something we're looking at.
But just still a good comment. That's something that we have had from other sources as well. So that's not Dermot disregarding it. I think that is definitely something that we want to be looking at. So.
Yeah. Alice got a good question here. Can participants edit or change their survey answers?
Sorry, can a participant
edit or change their survey answers?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So at any time whilst the survey is open, that participant can alter their response, clear their response out if they so wish. It's not a case of sending a response in twice or three times. We will only capture the last response that you have sent in. But obviously, once a survey stops, they can no longer respond.
Sure. I'm just conscious of time, but we've got some really good questions coming in, so we will carry on just for a couple more minutes. Bert's asked, are responses set once you've sent them in? Looks like you can change multiple choice answers, but not the text ones. Am I missing something? So this is similar to the previous question. You can clear out your text response and then put in a new response there. So hopefully that answers that. Bob, can I keep, I think that's one meeting running and another on hold, another hold a survey. So I think that's the, basically, can we have, hopefully this, I'm going to summarise this quite well, Bob. Can we have a survey that's live and then have another meeting running with people in it and potentially doing live polling and things like that?
Yeah, so I think that comes around to the licensing model that we have. I think the idea of one user only having one meeting running at once. So at the moment that is something that's in place. So that is a restriction. Now we can chat to you if that's a real need for you. We can chat to you about that, about ways we can get around that. But I think that is certainly something that we will be looking at around how we license this as well. depending on obviously the usage of it.
Yep, absolutely. Stephen, again, is just talking about WordCloud, but also in terms of surveys, he's saying that a WordCloud output would be useful for, well, he's asking, will it be available? But I assume he's saying it would be useful.
Yeah, so again, that goes to the question of publishing the results of a survey back. So, at the moment, the survey is all around data capture, but should we look to then think about pushing results of those back, then absolutely WordCloud would form part of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Joe's put a question in and is getting quite a few likes at the moment. I think it would be really helpful to be able to switch surveys off if you're not using them. So I know we've discussed this quite a few times, Matt, and I know it's something that you guys are thinking about. Thanks very much, Joe. And I think by way of likes, I don't think we need to answer that necessarily, but it's getting quite a few likes. So I think it's certainly something that we'll continue the discussion on.
That's very good feedback because, obviously the messaging tab or aspect can be switched on and off whilst the meeting is running. We haven't enabled that for surveys at the moment. I think one of the concerns that we think about, certainly from a dashboard perspective, is having too many of these options and toggles about potentially making it complex and complicated. So some of the things we touched on a while ago when we did a Future Forum webinar around like simplicity, and there was a very big sort of feedback there around sort of simplicity. So it's something I think we need to watch and think about in more detail, but obviously it's something that a lot of people want there, so
sure
we can look at that.
Okay, I've got a red light flashing here. So one last question, Matt, from Alice. Also, is it possible to have multiple surveys in one meeting?
You can have multiple surveys, yes. You can have, as many as you like, really.
As we showed, I think.
There's no real limit there. The only restriction, as we've discussed there, is only one can be open at any time or published at any time. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, please keep sending these questions in. We've just got a couple more slides that we want to go through, but we will, we promise to answer all of these questions if you send any more in. Okay, so as I discussed when I was doing the demo, there are a couple of questions at the end of that survey that we've got published, and I'd really appreciate it if you could answer it. It's just 2 questions, but we really appreciate that feedback. It's the only way that we can make these sessions better. So please just dive in and respond to those for us. We've also got some other webinars coming up soon, and I'm just going to paste out the link to our webinars page on our website. If you haven't checked it out before, please go and do that now. We run a monthly webinar. This month it's on the 31st, so it's on Halloween, and we're going to be looking at the Meetoo reports and how you can get the most out of those reports. And then please, as always, don't forget to do a review on Trustpilot for us. It's really good for us to spread the word of Meetoo and to allow other people to see what everyone else thinks about it. So that'd be great. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're constantly pushing out tutorial videos and other recordings. This webinar will be up on the YouTube channel, maybe this afternoon, maybe Monday morning, depending on how quickly we can get it up there. But there's all sorts of great content on there, so please make sure that you go to that for us. Okay, well, thank you very much, Matt. I really appreciate you coming on today, and hopefully that was a useful webinar for you all. And like I say, please keep your questions coming in if you want them answered, and we'll make sure that we get back to you all on those. We are well over, so we'll say goodbye, and thanks very much.
Thank you.